The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Trevor, I don't know about you, but I want to shove hot dogs down my mouth again in April and May. That was fun. Like, I love that's the best time in life, watching hockey and just shoving a hot dog right down your mouth.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, happy Monday and welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks and also a Canucks writer with the Daily Hive in Vancouver. Before we dive into it, we got to thank you for tuning into Locked On Canucks because it is your Canucks every damn day. And we're not here without you listening first and foremost. And we're also not here without those sponsors. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is set, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. The Chiefs, the Eagles, they're firmly in the playoffs, but will the Canucks be in the NHL playoffs? Despite all the doom and gloom and pessimism around this market, there's still a good goddamn chance your Canucks, your Vancouver Canucks, are one of the 16 teams remaining playing for Lord Stanley's Cup in April. I talked a bit about the Cinderella potential last week, but let's dive more into, can the Canucks actually make the playoffs? What is their path to get there? What is their percentage of making the playoffs? Because depending on where you look, there's wildly different projections for the Canucks on different platforms. Let's get into all that here on Locked On Canucks. We'll also get into some news and notes about the team prior to the game in St. Louis and just overall about the team. We'll touch on our GOATs of the week as well, a.k.a. the Quinn Hughes pumping segment. Before we get into all of it, let me introduce my co-host. No one loves a big old wiener more than him. Kyle Bowen. How's it going, brother?
Dude, meaningful games matter. I don't want to go back into the abyss, the dark times. Like, I don't want February 27th to roll around or whatever it is. I don't know if it's a leap year this year, and us being like 8 points out of a playoff spot. And it's like, okay, here we go again. March is here. Boom, bam. These games don't matter. I don't want that. I want these games to matter. And I ultimately want us to get into April and May and make the playoffs because, again, people. You don't make the playoffs and then miss the playoffs and win the Stanley Cup. I'm trying to win the Stanley Cup. I'm trying to gain that experience. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to take those leaps. So this season, the Vancouver Canucks, without Pettersson, without Miller, with both of them, who knows? They have to make the playoffs. It's really important to somebody named Quinn Hughes. And again, the culture of that organization. And honestly, I can't wait. Trevor, correct me if I'm wrong, but you look outside, this kind of feels like playoff weather. I mean, I've heard that this has been the driest January in 4 decades here in BC, which is supposedly not really good for our water reserve. But yo, who cares? Who cares? I'm loving it. And Trevor, I don't know about you, but I tend to believe, again, with or without Pettersson or Miller, this team's philosophy and this team's goals are pointed towards making the playoffs this year. It matters. Like, the Aquilini thing, the revenue, all that stuff. But again, for the culture, no matter what happens with the roster, the playoffs are like saying it's the number one goal is a bit of a weak statement. But again, it matters, Trevor.
It has to matter for this team, for this franchise, for this core. And I think, again, for Kyle, like you've alluded to, keeping Quinn Hughes happy for the long run. I think Quinn Hughes has to believe that this organization is going in the right direction. And again, there's a lot of extenuating circumstances that suggest the Canucks, the season's gone as bad as could possibly be. And they are still, right there in the playoff hunt. Again, they are 3 points out behind the Calgary Flames. But the Calgary Flames are definitely a catchable team. The St. Louis Blues tonight, they're definitely a team that the Canucks can and should surpass. But the Blues, again, we'll talk about it maybe a bit later on. They can't be taken lightly either because they played a lot better hockey under Jim Montgomery. And
the Canucks suck. And the Canucks suck.
And the Canucks
they haven't won back-to-back games since the end of November, okay? And Trevor, just to touch on this before you go on, like, I know you did the math and you did the stat work and you're kind of looking at the percentages and whatnot, and it's going to come up after this little bit of a spiel, but let's go back to, again, Quinn Hughes making the playoffs. Like, again, I'm not going to jump to conclusions and just close my eyes and picture Quinn Hughes in a New Jersey Devils uniform because that's like 3 years from now, right? And maybe it's never. Who knows? But it's so important for that player specifically to garner way more playoff experience because look at what it taught him already. Like, there's a big reason why Quinn Hughes is so much better this year than he was last year. And last year he won the Norris is because that dude I wouldn't say kind of struggled in the playoffs, but took a step back. He was good defensively, don't get me wrong, but he wasn't the same Quinn Hughes. And now look at him again. Like I just said, he got way better. And I want him to experience that again in April and May. So that leader, that captain, that potential Hart Trophy winner gets even better.
Yeah, and again, it's scary to think how much better he can be. I mean, what is he already on pace for 100 points? He's easily on pace to hit 20 goals right now. I think he's got 14 and oh my God, how many games the Canucks played? 50 games or whatever it is this season, 48 games, whatever. He's on pace for a goal total in the mid-20s, which is crazy, and he seems to really be taking matters into his own hands. But bigger picture, if you want to believe in the Canucks' potential playoff odds, it's not just the competition around them, but everything has gone about as bad as can possibly be imagined right now. I mean, Elias Pettersson looks like a third liner. Miller has now gone, 9 games without a goal? He has scored goals in 1 game since returning from his personal leave of absence. DeBrusk hasn't scored in 9 games as well. Nils Höglander having the season he's had. Carson Soucy, Tyler Myers regressing hard. I mean, everything has gone about as bad as can possibly be, not to mention a ton of injuries as well. I just have a hard time seeing this Canucks team completely falling out of it just because of whatever supposed so-called rift is going on. And sure, I don't think their ceiling, unless Pettersson and Miller figure it out, is that of a wildcard team at best. But they can certainly be a wildcard team in this mix. And again, Kyle, we talked about the gauntlet that the Canucks faced in January. The Canucks are now past that gauntlet, right? I mean, you got a tough game against the Stars on Friday. You play the Blues tonight. You play the Predators Wednesday. But looking at their remaining games, Kyle, they have 34 games left. Only 16 of those games are against playoff teams. When we were talking about this 2 weeks ago, they had the 4th toughest schedule in the league remaining. They're now up to like the 18th toughest schedule because they've gone through that gauntlet. So again, I think there's certainly winnable games among the horizon here. And I pulled this stat as well, which I found interesting. So far this season, against playoff teams, the Canucks are 8-11-3. And again, they've had a lot of blowout losses in there. Against the non-playoff teams, the Canucks are 12-6-7. And again, if the Canucks win 5 of the 10 overtime games they've lost this season, their record would look a lot better than what it does right now. Again, we'll see what happens in the long run here, but the Canucks, with a healthier lineup, should be in a better position to at least beat the bad teams around them. And Kyle, you talked about, the Canucks got to win like 4 to 5 games moving forward, 3 to 5 games moving forward. I'm not sure if that's really the case. I think just based on Calgary, Utah, St. Louis, and the Canucks right now, all being kind of mediocre, you might only need like 92 points to make the playoffs.
Whoa, are you serious? Is that what the math is telling you? Because in my mind, it's like we got, what is it, like 34 games left, like you said? And for me, it's like I hope the Canucks have saved up all their good luck and all their good energy and all their success for this stretch, because I'm kind of looking at this being someone who's telling oneself that they got to win like 24 or 25 of their next 34 games. I know that pushes them up to like 98 to 100 points, but that's kind of been the standard in recent history. And I know Utah's mediocre, the Canucks are mediocre, the Blues are mediocre, and the Flames aren't going away. So again, that's lowering the point total. But I kind of want us to take matters into our own hands and not go into the last week of the season like fighting for a playoff spot. I want us to clinch. I want us to like separate ourselves from the pack. And I think with Lankinen, with Quinn Hughes, with the miracle, okay, maybe Pettersson comes back, okay, maybe Miller comes back, because let's be honest, they've both taken such a step back in their games. Like, but you never know. Maybe they come back and they can go on somewhat of a hot streak. But now you're telling me they don't have to do that. So break that down further, because, bro, I'm not gonna lie, I'm schedule watching. Like yesterday, it's 1:00 in the afternoon, and I'm or 3:00 in the afternoon. I'm sorry, no, it's 1:00 in the afternoon, and I'm seeing if Colorado's beating the Rangers, and they did with 14 seconds left. And I'm like, okay, great. Then I'm, schedule watching the Jets kicking Calgary's ass. And I'm like, thank you. I'm already doing that. So if they only have to get 92 points, maybe I can relax a bit.
Yeah, I really do think that's the case. And I mean, look at the odds right now. So I'll bring up the odds for Money Puck and the Athletics. They're wildly different, but let's start bad and go good. So at Money Puck, they're giving the Canucks a 21% chance of making the playoffs. And that's largely because they have the Flames at a 62% chance of making the playoffs.
God,
but they're only projecting the Flames to have 92 points overall. projecting the Canucks to have 86 points.
Ugh,
So
that's
again,
disgusting.
pretty terrible numbers there. And, with Money Puck and here's the glass half empty, I guess, for Canucks fans is the main difference between Money Puck and the Athletic is Money Puck mainly uses stats from this year, whereas the Athletic kind of lumps in stats from the past couple of years. But over in the Athletic, if you want the glass half full, the Canucks are projected they have a 70% chance of making the playoffs with a projected point total of 94 points. They have the Flames projected at 88 points, Utah at 87, and the Blues with 82. So, I mean, based on what the Athletics saying, the Canucks they're a shoo-in. Let's go. 94 points, last wildcard spot, no problem at all.
Yo, last wildcard spot, and you play the Oilers in the first round. That's just life. That's just the way it is. And again, I can't preface this enough. Like Quinn Hughes and the Canucks have to make the playoffs this year. They cannot take a step back and, be like drafting 15th overall or 13th overall. Like, dude, they have to make the playoffs for their culture, for the city. Straight up. Like, Trevor, like, answer me this. Like, I wonder if it's even harder for this team to fix its locker room issues if Aquilini's like, no, you're not getting rid of Pettersson and Miller for that package because we need to make the playoffs this year. No, straight up, like you need your points.
Yeah,
you need to do your thing. Like it even goes back to a couple Saturdays ago where this team potentially could have benched Miller to maintain his health so they could trade him, and it's like I don't know if Aquilini's down for that because. Again, with or without Miller, whoever comes in, with or without Pettersson, like I don't think they're tanking the season with those trades. I think they're like, yo, let's still make the playoffs, with the Dylan Cousins or whatever, or Vincent Trocheck. Like, I'm being serious. Like, with or without those guys, they still want to, like you said, it's 92 points, 94 points. They want that playoff revenue. And money aside, I know getting a wild card spot and getting bounced in the first round is like, what are you doing? What's the point of that? I feel like it's for a team that's not been in the playoffs for the better part of the decade, getting to the dance is, again, critical. It's critical. Because if you don't make the playoffs this year, you're right back to where you were 20 months ago. No? Like, this team is middling. This team is the Calgary Flames. This team is the Phoenix Coyotes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. This Canucks team, they've got to find a way to make the playoffs this season, and I'm believing they will, Kyle. But before that, they got to beat the St. Louis Blues, and they got to win the majority of the remaining 33 games after that. Kyle, on the other side, let's touch on a few news and notes regarding this team ahead of the game tonight, some injury updates, some milestone updates, and all that coming up on the other side after we shout out our friends over at FanDuel. Man, oh man, if you're betting on sports, whether it's NFL, NHL, or Super Bowl, you got to make sure you place those bets on FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here. Yeah, it's the Eagles and the Chiefs facing off again. Man, oh man, when I watched that Super Bowl last time, I was getting drunk in Bali at like 8 a.m. in the morning on a Monday. Weird time change. So I won't forget that Super Bowl. On FanDuel, again, make sure that you go place a bet on Super Bowl, NFL, NHL, whatever it is, because if you place a $5 bet right now, you could potentially win $200 in bonus bets. And for the Canucks tonight against the St. Louis Blues, they are underdogs. No surprise there. Plus 115 on the money line to bring it home. And in terms of anytime goal scorers, Quinn Hughes, he's the only Canucks scoring goals right now. He's plus 450 to score a goal tonight. Or how about Phil DiGiuseppe? He's been looking better. More on that in a few minutes. Plus 800 to score a goal tonight.
Only plus 800? Why is PDG only plus 800 to score a goal? It should be like plus 2,000, dude. I'm not taking those odds.
Yeah, that's fair. Hey, Philip Roenick plus 900. If you want some better odds there for Canuck players, the Canuck with the lowest odds of scoring is Derek Forbort at plus 1,600. If you really want to stretch it there, Kyle. But whether you're betting on a Derek Forbort or a PDG goal, make sure you place those bets on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started and bet with FanDuel, an official partner of Super Bowl 59.
People, we back here on YouTube and wherever you stream podcasts, doing our thing, talking about your Canucks, making the playoffs, possibly making some noise. Let's get pumped up towards the end of the episode because, again, you make the playoffs, you play the Oilers in the first round, do the math. It sounds like magic. That being said, Trevor, like I'm looking at the YouTube live comments right now, and nobody wants to talk about the playoffs. Nobody wants to talk about the fact that Trevor's like, yo, you only need 92 points this season. It's not that tough. Nobody wants to talk about how, yeah, it's really critical for Quinn Hughes to keep learning how to play in the playoffs. No, everyone's ignoring those points, and all they're talking about is trading Pettersson and Miller. Speaking of which, dude, I think we got Don Cherry watching the show. This comment comes from Elston Gunn, okay? As much as I want Pettersson traded, no other team is dumb enough to take him unless they need a 1-point playoff player. The word is out on the kid, softer than Charmin, okay? Honestly, the older I get, I realize, like, this is why I want to make money in my life, because getting that good toilet paper, it actually matters, bro.
Yeah.
If you don't want an itchy butt, you need, like, the good stuff, okay? Anyways, look at this. That came from Elston Gunn, who's one of our, like, honestly, Elston, you supply the juice, okay? Straight up. Anyways, maybe he's Don Cherry, though, because Don Cherry has weighed in on the Canucks and Miller situation, and he's saying that nobody would want him. And he's referring to Elias Pettersson, okay? He's only had one good year, and he said he wouldn't put up with Elias Pettersson. Don Cherry, man. Again, like I said, man, we could get fired for this one. But, hey, Donald Trump, USA. Don Cherry, Canada. The countries are going to merge, supposedly. Do the math, okay? I think Don Cherry is the next prime minister of Canada. Anyways, dude, I'm talking about, I know we have to get to your notes, and your notes kind of connect with Elias Pettersson and his practice habits, but I know my sources are telling me, okay, hold on to this. My sources, aka my intuition, is telling me that the biggest reason why the Canucks want to trade Pettersson this year, because they are afraid, yes, they are afraid that his value is going to diminish so much come July, that they're not going to get the same. You know what I'm saying? Now it's going to look like who wants to take on this salary as opposed to who wants to take a chance and hit a grand slam, like, for real.
Straight up. I mean, look, if the Canucks weren't worried about regression, they wouldn't be considering trading him. You know, there wouldn't be rumors that he almost got traded to Carolina, about 72 hours ago now. So I think the Canucks are definitely worried about Elias Pettersson. Of course, why wouldn't they be? Look, it's been 12 months. This guy, he's gone from a 100-point guy to a third-line center. I mean, they should be worried about him. He's the 5th highest paid player in the league right now. So, again, you try to keep the faith and hope that he can figure it out between the ears. But, yeah, man, oh, man, it's a tough time for Pettersson and the Vancouver Canucks right now. Kyle, like you said, I got a few notes on the team right now. Let's get to it on Trevor's Notes presented by Kyle.
Okay, Trevor's Notes brought to you by Kyle. And I'm curious, man. I'm curious. I'm happy you brought this up, okay? Pettersson and Tocchet getting some one-on-one time, okay? Pettersson and Tocchet doing one-on-one drills. Rick Tocchet, a couple weeks after Alvin saying that Pettersson has superstar potential. Superstar potential? Like, what do you mean superstar potential? You signed this guy for $11.6 million. Like, this guy should already be a superstar. That being said, Rick Tocchet teaching Pettersson how to get to the middle of the ice, how to find confidence, how to do all these things. I saw the footage of this, and I'm like, are they really going to trade this guy if Rick Tocchet and Pettersson are now like a 1-2 punch during practices? I don't know. What did you read of the situation?
With Pettersson and Tocchet at practice, yeah. I mean, yeah, good for Petey being out there early. I mean, look, it's one of those things that you would love if Petey was the guy initiating it, but this is probably talking to Sedin, saying like, "Hey, let's get on the ice, let's get working." I mean, look, I've said it before on the show. Every day is no. I think I said it on the last episode when I was outside of a casino after having a few cold ones. Elias Pettersson, when I was at the game day skate on Saturday, like, to me, it just seemed checked out based on the fact that he didn't even realize that a dude with the same name as him was playing in his first NHL game. He's like, "Oh, what? Really? I didn't know that." It's like, dude, you've been in NHL practice for 6 years. What do you mean you don't notice that? I mean, yeah, we did say it last summer, man. Like, the Sedin twins might be the key to unlocking Elias Pettersson. Like, they've been through in this market. They took years of abuse in this market before turning into superstar players. And obviously it's been a different trajectory with Pettersson, but I do wonder if the Sedins, and again, we're grasping at straws a bit, I wonder if they can have some kind of impact on Pettersson to make him snap out of this funk and realize that he is just, inherently one of the most talented players in the league, but he's just got to unlock it again.
And he's got to work harder than everyone else. You know, even when Rick Tocchet was talking about the details of the drills that they were performing. Yeah, I'm not saying he took a shot at Pettersson, but he kind of referred to the fact that this is something Pettersson can do every single morning skate. And we've already heard about Alvin and Rick Tocchet talking about Pettersson's preparation being not where it should be. Okay. And again, when you're making that much money and you're a star player, and again, there's 9 new faces on the team, and there's always going to be turnover, right? You need those guys that are getting paid the most to be the hardest working players. That's the obvious. It's just the truth. So, again, we signed a guy to $11.6 million who may not be the best at practicing. I don't know. Is this guy Alex Kovalev or something? Like, what?
Alexei Yashin.
I don't even. Okay. Honest, Pettersson, man, just shut us up, please, yo. Elias Pettersson, make me eat my words, okay? I called you a scam artist last week. I called you a robber, okay? You robbing us. But again, it's well deserved. 30 points in 40 plus games. Like, what is going on? Oh, but look at his defensive awareness. The guy's -5. He's not even on the ice at the end of the game. Oh, but this guy's the next Patrice Bergeron. Dude, shut up. He's playing bad right now. He's a shell of himself. He needs his confidence. And look, Trevor, we've been through the motions before in our lives too. Like, when we're not at our best, like, we need to work through our problems. And even Pettersson back in the day, I remember he not back in the day, but this is like last year when he was struggling and he still couldn't wake himself out of it. But he was talking about how, like, you need to work yourself out of the problems and all that stuff. Bro, I think it's bare minimum that this guy has to be the hardest working player at practice moving forward. And he's got to do the little things, like, to get himself out of this. Enough's enough, man. Enough is enough. And you see Quinn Hughes playing with one hand. And now, Trevor, I know you don't have this as one of your notes, but then you see what Quinn Hughes said to McIntyre after Saturday's game, saying that, like, he feels responsible for all the noise and he feels responsible for the turmoil and he wants to just fix the situation by winning. And it's like, that's a leader, dude. That's a leader. Like, how do you not follow Quinn Hughes' lead? That's the ridiculous thing about all this. I keep saying it, man. The ego on some of these guys on this team. Like, if Quinn Hughes is doing it, you should be doing it. Because you ain't shit compared to Quinn Hughes right now, which is a damn shame, because back in the day, we thought he was.
Yeah, man, oh man. I saw this comment come through from Oliver Sholnick, and it might not be a bad idea. PD Hughes and Miller need to take 4 nations off and go on vacation together. Someone forgot to invite Kevin Lankinen, but that's all good, man. He's not part of the long-term core. Yeah, I mean, these guys need to find a way to bond and be on the same page. Or Quinn Hughes just needs to give him some of his secret sauce, man. I mean, you talk about a guy who, you know, has been working his butt off and has worked on his shot and has found ways to get better in different aspects of the game. And Quinn Hughes has elevated his game because of the work. Pettersson, I mean, we heard he was obsessed with his shot and working on all that early in his early years. Haven't heard that over the last couple of seasons, and I'm sure that is directly correlated to the fact he's not playing his best hockey.
Of course, man, because at the end of the day, bro, you get figured out and the game gets better. You know, the game gets faster. So it's just basic math. But again, like, me and you are just a couple talking heads. Like, what do we know about this stuff in the hustle? Speaking of which, speaking of the hustle, I didn't know PDG is about to play game number 300. That's something else.
Yeah, PDG, I believe it's 98 of those games have been with the Vancouver Canucks, but he's set to play in his 300th career game tonight. And that's why I said, you know, plus 800, probably not the best odds for a PDG goal, but he's been one of the better Canucks of late. More on that in a couple of minutes as well.
No, I'm enjoying his heaviness, right? He's playing a bit harder, shift in and shift out. That being said, I don't think it's in this team's best interest giving him more minutes than Nils Höglander. And I don't know what it is about Rick Tocchet and Nils Höglander. Like, I'd love to. You want to talk about two guys that need to go in the cabin in the woods together? It's those two guys. Because in recent history, I feel like Nils Höglander has been a hardworking player and has been forechecking really hard, has been a bit of a pest. Yet he was a healthy scratch against the Oilers. So you still know he's on thin ice. Like,
yeah.
Am I the only one that thinks that he's getting, like, treated very unfairly here?
Yeah, very unfairly, I think it's a bit of a strong word, because I still think he is really missing a step from his game. But But again, he's never been a guy who's been great at finding teammates. He's good at finding the open areas and having guys feed him the puck, but he hasn't really played with the guys who have been able to feed him the puck this year. I will say, though, I think on the Quinn Hughes backhand goal from Saturday night, Hogan made a hell of a play to protect the puck on the board to get Hughes the puck prior to him scoring.
100%. And I feel like, again, it's crazy, right? Oh, he deserves the benefit of the doubt. This guy's 1 goal in his last 40 games, right? But based on what this team needs, and they need speed, they obviously need more tenacity. I feel like his leash should be a bit longer. It's like what, one bad mistake and he's out of the lineup, and I look at that stuff and I'm just questioning Rick Tocchet's coaching ability if that's the case, because it's like Vincent Desharnais can take 4 of our last 5 penalties and still play all the time. Well, what's going on there? Again,
Yeah.
Rick Tocchet isn't Rick Tocchet like 5'6" too? Like, come on, man.
Yeah, he's not the tallest guy in the world. I think
Have some love for your short
Tocchet's
brothers,
taller
man.
than-
Come on, man.
Unbelievable stuff. I think in terms of the notes, let's touch on one more before we get out of here. I think the main one is Kiefer Sherwood. We had a couple comments asking about him. So Kiefer Sherwood is not traveling with the team on this road trip. He will not play tonight against the St. Louis Blues. But Rick Tocchet did say yesterday there's a chance that he may join the team later on the road trip, which again is just a 3-gamer with the Preds on Wednesday, the Stars on Friday. They are back to play the Wings on Sunday.
How about Dakota Joshua? Is he back? The Discord, join the Discord link in the bio. Supposedly he's a game time decision today, okay?
Yeah.
So
he's a
Tyler
game time
Myers back in the
decision.
lineup. Joshua, okay, cool.
Yeah, so Joshua did practice in full. He practiced on Saturday, but he wasn't part of regular line rushes. He was a part of like regular line rushes yesterday. Skated in place of Garland, who was off for the maintenance day, but game time decision. But it sounds like there's a good chance he plays.
And that's important because right before he got injured, I feel as if he was catching the stride. Maybe not offensively, but who on this team is catching their stride offensively? Let's be honest. Everyone's falling asleep. Everyone's falling asleep. Even Connor Garland, like nobody's doing anything consistently as a forward offensively. But Dakota Joshua, prior to getting hurt, he's getting into a couple scraps. He's being physical, finding his game, doing whatever it takes, doing something. And I hope that it doesn't take him a while to find that groove, which may be the case because he injured his hip. Anyways, let's talk more about that on the other side. Who we shouting out before we end off the show?
No ad read here. Just going to scratch my sack, and we'll be back on the other side here on Locked On Canucks.
Okay. We back doing this at the Don't Doze Art Lab and wherever Trevor is, and that's giving you Locked On Canucks, the show that gives you your Canucks every day. Hit the like button, okay? Again, every like this video gets, Trevor's children get more proud of their father and his choices, okay? That's all I'm saying. Okay? And again, if this video gets 40 likes, I'm going to do 40 push-ups for you with my eyes closed. Have y'all seen anyone do that before? Probably not. And you can see it happen if you hit the like button. Speaking of liking things, can the Canucks win back-to-back games? Please, I want to start liking the Canucks again, okay? I really do. Now, that's ironic because we got this comment that's making me think a lot about my morals, but it is what it is, okay? We're all different people, okay? And I'm not Swedish. This one comes from Stefan Johansson, okay? I haven't heard from him for a while, and maybe that's because we've been trading Pettersson and calling him a scam artist. And Stefan is from Sweden. He loves Pettersson. And, he's saying, I love this team. I believe in them. Let's give them love and strength. They will step up. And again, Stefan from Sweden. I've read a book on the lifestyle in Sweden. It's easy going. It's love, it's positivity. And I used to be like that. 10 months ago, I was like that, bro. But I'm sorry, Trevor. No Canucks team has hurt me this much. It feels like that. I know 2011, all that stuff, but at least there was effort there, No Canucks team has hurt me like this team because a lot of their faults, in my opinion, come down to not wanting to play for one another, not just giving an ish and not playing hard, and they've broken my heart. And it's kind of led me to become like somewhat of a Grinch. And I want to apologize, but again, like no back-to-back wins since late November, and it's disappointing seeing that when their captain Quinn Hughes is doing whatever it takes. And it's bullshit, to be honest.
Yeah, again, when guys aren't playing for each other, I think that is the most frustrating thing to watch. I mean, you can love a team that works hard and just doesn't get the job done because maybe the talent's not there. But the problem with this Canucks team is the talent's not there. The talent is there, and they seem to be playing not for each other, but playing for collecting paychecks. And Kyle, this is something probably for another episode, but I read a really good piece of The Athletic about how guys aren't really going out and drinking anymore, which is, I guess, a good thing in a sense, but a lot of them are just choosing to kind of stay in and play video games instead.
And popping edibles.
And popping edibles. Yeah. Yeah, maybe the day and age we live in, but yeah, I don't know. You hear a lot about this. Some guys in this Canucks team liking their games too. And yeah, I do wonder, and you and I are both older than the average NHL player now. But I do wonder if there's just not enough team bonding going on with this Vancouver Canucks team in particular. But I guess it's more of an NHL-wide thing too.
Well, dude, I'm about to have a meeting with a homie that I work with, and we're talking about the exact same thing: team bonding. Team bonding. Like, it's obviously going to be less of a matter of fact compared to years past. Not to get robotic with y'all, but it's because of our addictions to our phones and technology in general, and also the phenomenon of being an introvert. Like, oh yeah, being an introvert is great. Being alone is great. Nothing better than staying home on the weekend and cuddling in bed. Like, I get it, but it's like that stuff is, again, with technology, is like way more important than bonding and like going out and drinking or not. I don't care about that. I drink like maybe like 6 times a year. Okay, if it feels like that. Okay, I barely drink, but like being in the flesh and going out for dinners and just laughing and bonding, dude, those little details matter. And maybe that's where like Quinn Hughes feels responsible for, again, some of the turmoil, because he's the captain of the team, and maybe he feels as if he also has to play that role too, on top of doing everything for this team, because he's doing everything. He's doing everything, bro. Like, he's having arguably the most impressive Canucks season of all time.
Yeah.
He really is. Okay. So, and he's leading on the ice, and I think I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. Like, I don't need this guy to be the ringleader or the group chat leader and like planning dinners. Like, can somebody else do something? Like, other guys have an A on their chest. Can somebody else lead this team a little bit, please? No, they can't, because their egos are too big. Their egos are too big, man. They want to be spoon fed, and it's sad, bro. If there's any team that needs to go out for dinners, it's this team. And bro, like, I brought up the St. Louis Blues. I need to like find that story again, but it was back in 2019, and this team is struggling. And sure, they called up Jordan Binnington and their season changed, but I'm pretty sure that team went out for dinner a lot, and they got drunk a lot, and they just like laughed together, They bonded together. They also fought too. Don't get me wrong; like, they're fighting at practice and stuff, but it's little things. And right now, we live in an era where, again, be an introvert. Congrats. Be an introvert. It's like, dude, shut up, dude. Chill with real people. Y'all rather chill with like social media and robots than real people. Like, what the hell's going on with society? Anyways, one love to the Blazers fan 22 for giving us $2, okay, and saying that we need to keep the other Elias Pettersson on the team. We need him. I'm curious to see him play tonight. Do you want to run goats of the week before we get out of here?
Yeah, let's do it quickly here. Goats of the week here on Locked On Canucks. Goats of the week, where we run through the top 5 Canucks every week. This segment is basically turned into who are the 4 best Canucks last week after Quinn Hughes? Because once again, Quinn Hughes, the number 1 goat of the week this week. For your Vancouver Canucks, obviously the 2-goal game, single-handedly helping the Canucks beat the Capitals on Saturday. Aside from that, last week it was a 3-2 loss to the Sabres and a 6-2 thumping at the hands of the Edmonton Oilers. So not a great week for the Vancouver Canucks, but Quinn Hughes, easily the best Canuck from last week. In second, this is a tough one, but I had Brock Besser, 4 points in 3 games. I do think that Miller and Besser were arguably the Canucks' 2 best forwards last week. I thought they had moments in all 3 games last week, and Besser again getting on the score sheet with not just 4 points, but 4 even strength points as well. Number 3, I got Kevin Lankinen. Only played 1 game last week, but man, oh man, that was the Quinn Hughes and Kevin Lankinen show. He was maybe a little unlucky not to get a shutout in that game, but made a number of huge saves to help preserve the 2-1 victory over the Caps. Number 4, I got Phil Di Giuseppe. And I know, Kyle, we talked about it. Maybe this guy should be getting benched over Höglander, but last week, Phil Di Giuseppe was one of only 4 Canucks who was not on the ice for an even strength goal against. He's been used more in the penalty kill as well. scored his first goal of the season last week as well. I thought he's been playing some good hockey lately. Possession stats, everything about his game right now. He's looking good out there. He's, you want guys that fight because they know that they maybe don't have that much of a leash or that much.
You want people to fight for your brothers, Trevor, not for yourself. Honestly speaking, bro, this team needs to play for each other. You need to go to war. You need to win a puck battle because, again, it's success for your teammates. But the brotherhood, man. I think PDG is that type of guy, though, for real. I think obviously he's probably doesn't have a contract at the end of the year. He's been a journeyman. I know he's played 300 games, but still a journeyman bouncing up and down. But there's something, I don't know, that guy oozes camaraderie. He really does. He does.
Yeah,
because you can
100%.
tell, he meshes with any line, right?
Yeah. He's been played up and down the lineup, and a good week for him last week. Congrats to him making it on the Goats of the Week ranking for the first time this year. Number 5, I always feel a little dirty putting him here right now because his performance is so inconsistent, but I do have JT Miller at 5th overall. Honestly, like I said, him and Besser had a pretty good week. JT Miller led the team in shots this week, led the team in individual expected goals for. Again, got robbed by Charlie Lindgren in the Caps game. Probably should have gotten on the score sheet at least once. I think if Miller keeps playing the way he's playing, the goals are going to come. But man, oh man, the Canucks desperately need some goals to come this week. So hey, maybe if you're placing a little prop bet, maybe Miller's the guy to place it on prior to the game against the Blues tonight.
Bro, think about this, man. Quinn Hughes has 21 more points. 21 more points than the next guy behind him on the point leaderboard on the Vancouver Canucks. You know how sad that is? You know how sad that is for a team that's spending $20 million on 2 centers? Right? Who handed out a 7-year deal to Jake DeBrusk? Right? Who's got a UFA Brock on their team as well? It's time to level up here, okay? Speaking of which, last comment. Let's end it on a positive note, okay? This comment goes to Nino Perota. Nino Perota. I think that's how you say it, okay? He's saying, stop trashing the team and start praising our players. It's very important to increase their confidence and more important to their value, okay? Again, I'm a Deepak Chopra lover. You guys know that. I'm a Findu, okay? I know manifestation's real. I know you got to put that good voodoo out there for your neighbors. That being said, this team hasn't won back-to-back games since the late November. You know how sad that is? This team's also been not playing for one another. They've also gotten their ass kicked a handful of times. So there hasn't really been a lot of places where you can be confident with this team. It's just full of disappointment, and it's on them. You can talk about the spiritual aspect of it, and oh yeah, Canucks fans need to be positive because positivity is gonna fix this team. And dude, the players in that room got to get down to business and work for one another. And I hope they take what Quinn Hughes said at the end of that game and they take it seriously, because if your captain is saying that on top of playing with one hand and also just ripping it up game in and game out, just do it for him. You know what I'm saying, bro? Do it for him. There's that Tom Brady quote that I don't know if you've ever heard this quote. It was about how I forgot the exact quote, but it was about how the New England Patriots players, they listened to Bill, but they did it for Tom Brady.
Right.
It's time for this team to do it for Quinn Hughes, because this guy's been excellent. He's been such a beacon of light. He's been stoic. He's been so consistent. You saw that quote from Kevin Lankinen too, praising this guy. It's just follow this guy's lead. And for Miller and Pettersson, you guys just got to remove the ego, remove your emotions, and just do it for your captain, man. Straight up.
Yeah, got to do it for Quinn Hughes. You hear that, Miller? You hear that, Pettersson? You hear that, Brockmaster? You got to do it for Quinn Hughes. Just like we do the show, Kyle, we do it for each other, but we also do it for you and you and you and you and you. So thanks again for tuning in. Whether you're an everyday or an occasional listener, a first-time listener, a new subscriber, or you join us here on the live show on YouTube, wherever you're listening, whenever you're listening, we appreciate the hell out of you for tuning in to Locked on Canucks. Again, if you want to help me feed my family, if you want to help Kyle get a hair transplant in 13 years, make sure you go subscribe and hit the like button on the podcast side. Go follow us and leave a 5-star review. But for now, we got to get out of here. Go Canucks, go. Should be back doing some post-game stuff tonight. I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Kyle Bound. And you've been listening to Locked on Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.